Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Maya with Simply Bloom. My kids are just right off to the side playing on the trampoline, so you can most likely hear them, so excuse that. They're just having fun, living life. Today, we are picking apples. So every weekend we've been bringing our apples to the farmer's market. We have 60 fruit trees. Most of them are apples. I just want to do a quick run through of how you know an apple is ripe. First sign we look for is the tree will actually start to drop apples. You do have to be careful though, because if your tree is not getting enough water, the tree will drop its fruit to save the water for the tree itself rather than putting it into the fruit production. So if you start seeing apples on the ground and you taste them and they're not ripe and bitter, start watering your tree more. But if it's not the water issue, then most likely your fruit is ripe. Next, I do the wiggle test. Now, I'm not going to go whole in depth because I am in a hurry, so I'm actually going to insert a clip here of me talking about the wiggle test last year. So here it is. So first thing you want to do is know your variety. That helps. If you don't know your variety, that's okay. We can work around that as well. But if you know your variety, you can do a quick search. Just Google, type the name of the variety, and then ask what season it is. So apples have an early, mid, and a late season. That's when they bloom, and then that's also when they ripen. So early season apples, they bloom first, and then they're also the first for the fruit to ripen. And then it's mid-season, late season, late season. So once you have that under control, and if you know that, then you are able to kind of figure out what month your apple will begin to ripen. Next thing I look for is, are the apples starting to drop on the ground? It could mean that it's not getting enough water or the tree is thinning the fruit on its own. It can start to drop apples and it not quite be ready on the tree. Some fruit does start to ripen first. So once it's starting to drop apples, you can go into an apple and just do the wiggle test, I call it. I like to do what is called a wiggle test. So you just go up to an apple, and if you gently tug and it comes off super easily, it's good to go and it's ripe. Like these, I know these are not ripe. I am tugging and tugging and tugging, and it's holding on firm. Leave it because it is not ready yet. This is an this is a late season tree, Harold Red. It needs to go through a first frost for the sugars to really intensify and sweeten. So this will be our last tree that we harvest. Okay, I hope that helped. I know when you're first getting into apples and stuff, it can kind of be overwhelming of when to know it's ripe and, you know, when it should stay longer. I used to work at a garden center and people would come in and pick all the apples off the tree. For example, that late one that I just showed you, Harrelson. And they're like, it's the most disgusting apple ever. You know, it was red. We thought it was done. We picked it. So definitely no, because a lot of the late season apples need that frost. Otherwise, if they don't go through the frost, they are bitter and they are nasty. So kind of know your tree, and, you know, reach out to your local garden center, ask questions. You can leave questions down below for me, and I'll do my best to answer. I think we have about 60 apple trees now, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert because I am just a home gardener, but I think I have a little bit of experience under my belt. Keep in mind, if you're planting apples, they do need pollinators. So if you're getting an early season, make sure you get a second early season. If you get one early and one late, their bloom times are different and they won't pollinate each other. If, for example, you really want one early and one late, then I recommend getting a crab apple, because crab apples bloom the whole time from early to late season, and they will cross-pollinate with normal apples. So if you're looking at a crab apple, I highly recommend Centennial, which is actually this tree right here. You can see the branches are loaded. This is what the Centennial looks like. Really bright, I like to say like cherry red, although a lot of red cherries are darker. What's that one cherry? Comes from like Washington, or at least that's what my husband tells me, where it's like that brighter red with the yellow. It looks exactly like one of those cherries to me. Very good. Not bitter. Delicious. Okay, that's just the two signs I look for, is the fruit dropping and the wiggle test. If the apple comes off the tree, super easy, it's ripe. If you really have to pull, let it sit another week or so. But I'm just gonna jump into this and start harvesting, but let's just get started. These are my all-time favorite apple. Look at the size. Zestar, most delicious, crispy apple with the most beautiful white inside. And look at the size. I'd bite one, but these are like pristine and you can sell these. Hold on. This one has a spot. We always bring the ones with spots and we cut them open and give away as samples. But let me show you. Mouth fills with juices. It's so juicy, and the sun's kind of bright. Trying to shade it. Beautiful inside. It's so juicy. It's hard to keep it on my mouth. So good. A slight fun fact about apples is the color of the apple depends a lot on variety, but also the sunlight makes it extra red. So there's some varieties that will never turn red, like Granny Smith. I can't grow those here, but yellow transparent, that's a variety I can grow, never turn red. With the apples that do turn red, the part that touches the sun gets a beautiful rosy red. The part that never sees the sunlight will never turn color. So a fun fact for you for apples. You can see, let me show you. So this is the inside of the tree, and you can see all the green and yellow. That's just simply because never got any sunlight. And the outside of the tree, you can see much more red, gets sunlight. have picked so far. I have 2 other buckets as well, but they're on the way other side of the property, so I'll grab those later. But this is what we got. So excited for tomorrow. They look so good, so yummy. But I just wanted to take you guys along on this harvesting journey. This is what we do. And then at the farmer's market, I do like a you pick where people can pick their own apples. And then I have 2 different, I have this size bag and then 1 bag that's slightly smaller that they just fill up. $5 for the big bag, $3 for the small bag. And people love to look through and pick their own apples. So that's what we do. So I forgot, we actually have 4 buckets total of State Fair. We could just fit 1. We're gonna have to take a couple trips. So 4 buckets of State Fair. I have a couple buckets of Prairie Magic. And you guys, we do not spray. We do not spray at all. So our apples are not perfect. There's some blemishes on them. There are some bruises. There's some bruises and splits. And we won't put these out to sell. This one we will dice up and have as samples so people can sample every variety that we have. Goodland, which is after Zestar, Goodland is my next favorite. I love this apple. It is so yummy. Let me find a good one. Here's a Goodland as well. So yum. And then this is a Kinder Crisp. I think I remember hearing that one of its parents is the Honey Crisp, but this is a very good crisp apple. And it's really, really pretty looking as well. So, and then I have, like I said, 3 other buckets of State Fair. I have 2 buckets of Zestar and 1 bucket of Wine Crisp. Wine Crisp is a tiny apple, almost like the size of a large crab apple, about that big, but it tastes like wine. So the wine lovers out there love that apple because it tastes like you're eating wine. But that is it. Excuse, I'm using my front camera. Normally, lately when I've been filming, I've been having to use my back camera. I just use my phone. I cracked my camera screen, so that's why it's all foggy. But I just decided to do this. It's easier. I didn't have my tripod and I didn't want to use my rear camera if I couldn't see where I was pointing. But that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day and I will see you next time. Bye. I also wanted to say apples are like wine. They taste better with age. So a lot of apple varieties won't start producing fruit, like real fruit. You might get an apple or 2 on it, but it really won't start producing for 3 to 5 years. My all-time favorite apple, Zestar, you'll start getting a few apples here and there, but by about year 7, that's when it really takes off. So have patience, and on the first few apples that you get, you might taste it, and you might be like, ew. Like I said, it's like wine. As the tree develops and gets older, it will taste better. Just make sure it has lots of water, good fertilizer, and give it time, and the apples will just mature into something delish.